In this video, I'm going to be going over 5 players that you should be looking at to invest in for the 2021 baseball season. Some of these players are going to hit huge milestones in their career, such as maybe 3,000 strikeouts or 3,000 hits. And some of these players are really young in the league, have a lot of proven potential based on past seasons, and I think their sports card prices are going to break out. So if you're new to the sports card game and you're looking for players to look into and invest, this video is right for you. I'm about to jump on my computer and show you some stats. Okay, so I am back on my computer and I have 5 different tabs open here of different players to take a look at. These are in no order, by the way, so I don't recommend Flaherty as my #1 investment, but he is a great player. But we'll start off with him.
And he catches Acuna looking on its way to Donaldson, and he puts him away this time.
So Jack Flaherty is the ace of the St. Louis Cardinals, and usually I don't say to ignore a year of stats, but for 2020, the St. Louis Cardinals came into a lot of issues during the season. If you don't know, their season got kind of shut down by COVID. And with pitchers, a routine is really important. Now, Jack Flaherty, since he is their ace of the Cardinals, his routine got out of sync, no spring training, and then being shut down for 2 or 3 weeks in the middle of the season. So these stats are kind of out of line. But even though these are out of line, you can still take a look at his whip, which is a 1.2, and then his strikeouts, which are 49 in only 40 innings. The 1.2 whip is high for his career. Usually he's 1.1 or lower. And for an ace of an organization, you want to look for anything 1.2 or lower when investing. So even in an offseason, he still had a low whip. And then the strikeouts, he had 49 in 40 innings. And when you're looking to invest in a pitcher, you want to have at least a strikeout per inning. So you want to have, with 40 innings pitched, 40 strikeouts, and he has 49. Now, since he is the ace of the team, he is also going to pick up a lot more starts in the season. So with that opportunity, he can pick up more wins and strikeouts. So ignoring 2020, let's look at his other stats. Flaherty right now just turned 25 and he has 8 WAR, which isn't too bad. I wish it was a little higher, but again, last season kind of screwed him over. It screwed over everyone in the league. He has 23 wins, a career 3.3 ERA, and a career 1.07 whip. Even after having a bad career, he still has a 1.07, which is really amazing. But let's take a look at his last 2 seasons before the COVID season. So in 2019, he had a 0.96 whip, and then his strikeouts per 9 was a 10.6. And if you see, he got 4th place for the Cy Young Award and got a few MVP votes. And he picked up 11 wins. Now, I'm not too worried as wins as a stat anymore because very few pitchers even have the chance to get 300 wins. I think the only one currently might be Kershaw, and that could be a stretch. I haven't taken a look at his stats recently. But if you look over here with his strikeouts, he got 231 strikeouts that season, and then he got 182 the season before. He's already at almost 500 strikeouts at age 25, which is looking really promising. This year, if he picks up another 200 to 250 strikeouts, he's going to be at 680, 700 strikeouts at the age of 25. For a pitcher, you want to look at someone who gets around 3,000 strikeouts. That's the Hall metric. Again, and with the WAR phenomenon right now, about a 65 WAR locks you into the Hall of Fame. So if he picks up the 250 strikeouts this year, continues with a low whip, he has a shot at a Cy Young Award in NL, but also reaching those milestones later on in his career. His stuff looks really good. If you haven't watched him pitch, he kind of reminds me of like a Max Scherzer with intensity on the mound. And with pitchers, you need to look at both the stats itself and then the eye test. You can't just invest blindly on the stats because pitchers are weird like that. You have to look at how competitive they are and how nasty their pitches are. And Flaherty for me is, honestly, I think he's one of the best investments out there. I like him just as much as like a Shane Bieber or Walker Bueller. And Bieber prices have skyrocketed, so he's not on this list. He's still cheap compared to, let's say, a Scherzer or a Verlander or a Kershaw, but everyone already knows him. Jack Flaherty, not everyone knows, and his prices are still dirt cheap. So looking at Jack Flaherty for the next season. If he does well again, his prices are really going to increase. So the next guy I want to talk about is Giancarlo Stanton.
Stanton, we have liftoff. Up into the second deck. Giancarlo, second of the game, 15th of the season.
Now, a lot of you guys are going to know he is injury prone, so I'm just throwing this out here. But when you look at his stats, he still has 41 WAR, and he's at the age of 31. And like I was saying, 65 WAR usually makes the Hall of Fame. He has 312 home runs as well. And batting average isn't too great, but taking a look at his home runs and then WAR wise, he has a potential of getting the 65 and the 500 home runs. Now, one thing that's also really good about Stanton, or two things I should say, is he plays for the Yankees and he's an MVP. And both of those things will help with his Hall chance. Yankees is a legacy organization, which that increases his card prices. And also, if you look at it, more borderline players are going to make the Hall of Fame as the Yankees. Also, having MVP award is huge. But here's why I like investing in Stanton. Look at his career stats. If you go down here, 59 home runs, 37, 38, and he's still at 27 a year that he was injured. 119 games, 27 again, and only 74 games. And the Yankee organization fired all their personal trainers. They figured out why Stanton was getting hurt. There's something with his stretching routine. So they're going to take him out of playing in the outfield now. Instead of playing right field, he's going to be a DH and he's going to start implementing stretches. So instead of playing in the outfield now, which has a chance of being injury prone, he's going to be sitting on the bench in between innings and stretching out, which I think is really big. Now, everyone talks about him being injury prone the last 2 seasons and then previously before. But if you looked at his injuries in some of the previous seasons, they're kind of freak accidents, like him getting hit in the head with a pitch. You can't really control that. But if you think about it, if you take out 1-2 seasons out of this, he has 300 home runs in only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seasons. So do that math. That's 35 plus home runs. And this is before the juiced ball era. And some of these seasons, again, like the 74 and 119, they aren't even full seasons. And his rookie year, he wasn't even a full season. So Stanton has the potential to easily hit 500 home runs if he stays healthy. But the thing is also, if you look at his contract, he's signed through 2027. So he has another 6 years guaranteed. If he hits, let's say 30 home runs each of those years on average, he's going to hit 500 home runs. And Stanton has the potential at 50, 60 home runs, especially with this juice ball. Now, the thing also about Stanton is Sports Center, ESPN, all these different advertisers, or not advertisers, but news stations go absolutely berserk with Stanton home runs because he hits the ball 500 feet and everyone goes crazy over these line drives. So he's going to get a lot of publicity, and publicity increases card prices, especially if you look at the NBA players, how much they're on TV. So Stanton being on New York, having a chance of making the Hall of Fame with his WAR and amount of home runs and hitting the moonshots 500 feet, being on TV, you could see his card prices skyrocket, especially in this market right now where everyone just follows the hype and what YouTubers and what ESPN says. So his cards are very cheap right now. It's the 2010 update where his best rookie is, and he also has the 2010 Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome. I'd recommend the update card and the Topps Chrome as my number 1 and 2 cards for Stanton, but just as a heads up with that. And I did forget talking about Flaherty. His card is in 2018. He has almost in every single product from the year. He was featured all the way back in Series 1. So take a look out for those. Okay, so the next guy to invest in is Miguel Cabrera.
That for you after Cabrera does something, and that something is driven into center, way back, and gone, up into the shrubs. Straight away center field, home run number 10.
Now, I think his price is already very low for what he's done, but the reason why I say to invest in Miguel Cabrera is based on 2 different stats. If you look over here, he almost has 3,000 hits and almost 500 home runs. He's going to cross both of these next year. So these are 2 legacy milestones in baseball. If you're not familiar with baseball, 3,000 hits and 500 home runs, usually you make the Hall of Fame. He has both of these. Also, if you look at his career WAR, he's already at 69.6, so he cleared that 65 threshold. Now over here on the side, this is what you also need to look at. He has 2 MVP awards and a Triple Crown on top of 11 All-Star appearances, 4 batting titles, and 7 Silver Sluggers, and he's won a World Series. This guy has done it all. Triple Crown, though, is one of the rarest feats in baseball, and he was the last person to do it. It's going to be last for a long, long time. It's so hard. If you go back to these seasons, like he won the Triple Crown and won back-to-back, look at this. He batted 348, 330, 344, 30 home runs, 44 home runs. And guys, this was before the juiced baseball. Imagine if Miguel Cabrera was playing with this juiced baseball today, what his stats would be. So Miguel Cabrera is going to hit these 2 milestones. His prices are going to skyrocket. Just look at Miguel Cabrera's prices compared to Albert Pujols. Now, I know Pujols is a much better player. He has a lot higher WAR, was a better player in the early 2000s, but Miguel Cabrera cards have a lot of room to go. And you can find them in the 2000 update series with both a base and a Topps Chrome card. Probably one of the best Tigers of all time. He might actually be the best Tiger of all time. So pick up some of his cards. Next guy to go over, Max Scherzer.
Here's the wind, 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Fastball upstairs. The base hit.
So everyone knows him as Mad Max. And earlier I was talking about some of the different stats for pitchers and how they make the Hall of Fame. So if you look at his stats over here, he has 62.3 WAR. He's going to hit that 65 threshold pretty easily. His ERA is a 3.2, so it's around 3, which is good. You need to look for that. He has 175 wins. There's no way he gets 300 wins, but that's okay. Pitchers nowadays, very, very rare to get across that. But what I'm looking at right here is his strikeouts. Now, Scherzer almost has 2,800 strikeouts. So I don't know if he's going to hit 3,000 this year, but he's going to be very, very close and has a career whip of 1.1. Now, the big thing is hitting that 3,000 strikeouts. As soon as he hits 3,000 strikeouts, he's going to be all over the different news outlets. 3,000 is a lot of strikeouts, guys. So if he ends up hitting that, his card prices are going to increase. But the thing I also like about Scherzer is he already has 3 Cy Young awards and he's won a World Series. He's already a lock at the Hall of Fame, even if he didn't hit the 3,000 strikeouts. But just adding in that 3,000 strikeouts is another career milestone that people like, especially those that collect Hall of Fame players or Hall of Fame caliber players. His prices are going to increase. Along with 3 Cy Youngs, invest in him. I think his card prices are underrated. Now, the last player I wanted to talk about today is Walker Bueller.
Bueller. Just filthy. Inning is over. Here's a 1-2. That just...
Now, he had a really, really good offseason. Or not offseason, but postseason for the Dodgers. His stuff looked absolutely nasty. He did have some blister issues during the season, but that's okay. Looking at his metrics, though, Bueller is 26 years old. He has 6 WAR, which is low. I'm not going to say it's high. But if you look at everything else, he has 24 wins. He has a 3.1 ERA. He has 420 strikeouts and a 1.02 whip. Even last year, which was an off year for him, he had a 0.955 whip. People think Walker Bueller is the ace of the Dodgers instead of Clayton Kershaw. And you have to remember, Clayton Kershaw was one of the best pitchers in baseball for a ton of time. And his PSA 10 cards reached, I think, $1,000 for his update rookie card. Could be a little bit wrong. I wasn't purchasing them at the time. I do have a bunch of Kershaw cards, but yeah, Walker Bueller can go up quite a bit. Now, the reason why I like Bueller, besides his stats being really good, he plays for a great team and a legacy team. Any pitcher that plays for the Dodgers that does well is always going to be compared to Kershaw or get compared to Sandy Koufax. And they're just a legacy organization. They're pretty much the Yankees of the National League. So there's a ton of money in that LA market to invest in Dodgers. But looking at his stats in general, they're very reminiscent of Jack Flaherty. I think Flaherty and Bueller are pretty much your 2 best young pitchers in baseball right now besides Shane Bieber. I think those are the 3 pitchers that are going to stand out for a very, very long time. If you're going to add a 4th pitcher on there, I'd see Zach Gallen, but I'm not really too worried about his stuff right now. He got caught up to the league a little bit late, unfortunately. But if you look at his stats also, he has the same rookie as Flaherty, by the way, the 2018 Top Series 1. He pretty much every year he has under a 1.1 whip, which shows that he is an elite starter towards the very front of the rotation. He's gotten some Cy Young votes. He got 3rd place in Rookie of the Year. But if you look at his strikeouts per 9, rookie year pretty much, 2018, he had 10, then 11 almost in 2019, and then 10.3 in the down year. Still picking up a decent amount of wins. He got 14 that one year, which is amazing. Only one last year, but again, I'm ignoring this for all the different pitchers. So his stats look really, really good as a pitcher. And as long as his arm doesn't fall off, he is going to be a good investment long term, especially with the Dodger organization. So those were the 5 different players today. You have Mike Stanton, which is the 2010 rookie card. You have Miguel Cabrera, which is a 2000 rookie card. You have Max Scherzer, which is a 2008 rookie card, same year as Clayton Kershaw. And you have Bueller and Flaherty, which are both 2018 rookie cards. If I was going to do any honorable mentions, I'm going to name 2 players right now. I didn't want to put them in this video because I only want to do top 5, but I wanted to add a little bit more for you guys. So one player I'd put in here is Rafael Devers for Boston. think he has a potential about 310, 320, and then hit 30 plus home runs year after year. I think if he does that, he's going to get a lot of eyes on him. I know the hobby is already talking about him a little bit behind the scenes and how his prices are undervalued. Another person I would really recommend taking a look at potentially is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, I didn't like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because of a few different reasons. Number one, I think he was way overhyped from the beginning. Sure, he batted 400 minor leagues, but the quality of pitching between the minor leagues and major leagues is huge, and not everyone pretty much translates from the minor leagues to the majors. The second reason why is he was overweight. One of my philosophies is not to invest in pretty much chunky players, and the reason for that is if you're overweight, your body's going to pretty much fall apart on you as you get older, especially in the 30s. There's always been a lot of promising players in their early 20s that fall apart because of injuries. You can take a look at example like Prince Fielder. Prince Fielder had amazing stats throughout his career. And if he could have played till 40, if he got in shape, got very lean, there's no way he wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer. I mean, I'll just show you right now. Not to go off on a tangent too much, but look at Prince Fielder's stats, right? He retired at age 32 with some injury-riddled seasons. But if you look at over here, 50 home runs at age 24, 34, 46, 32, 38. If you look at his batting average also, some of these years, almost 300, 288, 313. He was a really good player, but he was pretty heavy, and that took a toll on his body. But Vlad Guerrero Jr. actually got skinny in the offseason. He lost, I think someone said 40 or 50 pounds and looks very lean. His dad was very lean when he was playing baseball. He wasn't chunky. And his dad is a lock Hall of Famer. I mean, he is in the Hall of Fame already, but he was a beast as a hitter. If you take a look at Vlad Sr., which, by the way, it's funny, his cards are cheaper than Junior, which I don't understand. He won an MVP award, a 9-time All-Star. And if you look at his stats, he had 450 home runs, batting 320. Amazing stats. He's actually really, really underrated in my opinion. But he has the same genetics as Vlad Jr. So if Vlad Jr. lost that weight, has dad's eye, and continues to train hard like he is right now, there's a lot of potential with him, especially since he already has the bat. Just needs to get his defense down and continue to stay lean. He's going to become a lot better hitter. But anyways, those were some of the top picks I had for the 2021 season. Who are you guys investing in? Let me know down in the comment section below. Hope you guys like the format of this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. It does take a lot of time to produce these videos and do all of the research. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in another video. See you soon.